The accounting profession is accelerating plans to address the pipeline challenge. This is the IssuesWatch podcast. Hi, I'm Don Meyer, Chief Marketing Officer at the New Jersey Society of CPAs, and welcome to the IssuesWatch podcast. The public and private sectors continue to struggle with attracting and retaining talent. And as we all know, the accounting profession is not immune. During the 2019-2020 school year, the number of accounting graduates decreased by 3% for bachelor's degrees and 8% for master's degrees, according to the AICPA 2021 Trends Report. External factors contributing to these trends include an overall decline in college enrollment, rising education costs, accelerated retirement among baby boomers, and shifting expectations regarding work culture and starting salaries. No single solution will solve the profession's talent issue. A broad, profession-wide, multi-stakeholder effort to address hurdles at every stage, from K through 12 to employment, is underway, and the NJCPA and AICPA are playing major roles in supporting these initiatives. As part of this work, the AICPA developed a pipeline acceleration plan to drive additional solutions. With me to discuss the pipeline acceleration plan and the profession's pipeline challenges is Jan Taylor, Senior Director and Academic in Residence at AICPA and CIMA. Welcome, Jan.
Oh, thank you for having me. Delighted to be here.
So the timing of this podcast, it worked out really well because today on May 18th, the AICPA released the expanded plan for addressing the CPA pipeline challenge. So why don't we start off and having you summarize that pipeline acceleration plan and maybe dig into some of the specific initiatives.
Essentially, we know that we are dealing with a pipeline shortage. So the AICPA partnered with a variety of organizations, including like the CAQ, state societies, accounting firms. We reached out to academia, state boards of accountancy, just NASBA, just a whole wide range of stakeholders in this, and tried to gather some information, some feedback from them, and then based on that, plus based on what we hear from our own membership, kind of started looking at ways to address that talent shortage. And we call it the Pipeline Acceleration Plan. We identified some areas to address. And for those that are definitely interested in more than we're going to be able to cover in this, I would encourage you to go to our website, find the actual full plan. But we essentially are looking at addressing things like awareness and making sure that we are increasing those who are at the high school, early college years, increasing their understanding of what accounting really is, because we know that there are a lot of misconceptions out there. And so improving that perception of the profession and improving our messaging to those students. We also are looking at training and education efforts, things that go beyond just that awareness piece, but also, for instance, we really try to help our faculty across the globe, if you will, know and understand how the profession is changing. We try to get that information to them. We try to assist them in understanding the new technologies that are being used by the profession. We also have other initiatives in there that are kind of outside of my area, which is the education space, but things like the firm culture and business models. And so our firms teams, working with firms and looking at ways that they can make the profession more competitive and providing some that what we know is compelling work and some interesting opportunities for those potential employees. Obviously, DEI is huge for us in attaining, attracting first and then retaining that diverse range of talent. And then, of course, we certainly want to affiliate with our colleges and universities. Again, back to what's near and dear to my heart, to offer internships, scholarships, other programs that can help, again, attract people to the profession, to help keep costs down, and essentially help to get students up to the competencies and skills that are needed by today's accounting professional. So all of that was encapsulated in this pipeline acceleration plan through several different initiatives.
I'm sure I don't have to tell you the 150-hour requirement is a hot topic among CPAs. We're not going to dig too deeply into that. But tell us about the plan's Experience, Earn, and Learn, or ELE initiative, how it addresses the challenges around that final stretch of credit hours.
Right. So AICPA and NASPA got together and tried to come up with some ideas of how we can develop an integrated education and experience program. We wanted this to be for those students who have already graduated, have a degree, an undergraduate degree, but don't yet have the 150 credit hours that are required for licensure. So what we have done is we've developed this ELE program, the Experience, Learn, and Earn program. And the idea is for us to combine meaningful online college study that is integrated with some early work experience. So to be a participant in the program, the student, as I just mentioned, graduates with a bachelor's degree. They have the core accounting classes, that are needed already. So this is not designed for someone who, maybe has a degree in biology or something. It is really for that person who has graduated with a business degree, has those requisite core accounting courses, but they don't have the 150. They join a firm right away as a paid first-year staff member, not an intern. They are going to get up to those 30 credit hours that they need. When I was an educator, I had a lot of students that would graduate with, 140 hours, because they changed their major or they took some additional courses throughout their, undergraduate degree program. But so it'll help them get up to those 30 hours online, while working a flexible schedule, and they're getting that paid work experience. So they'll complete their credit hours and then they go on to their journey to CPA. So we're doing a launch of a pilot program to kind of test this out this fall. And they're going to be, getting some cost-effective courses from our pilot university. And as I mentioned, have the opportunity to earn those 30 credit hours. We hope to expand the program after the pilot, and we want to include many more universities throughout the country. And so we are looking at universities that are going to be able to help us offer those additional up to 30 credit hours for like under $5,000, which is it's a hard ask. We recognize that. And certainly it would be less if they have graduated with more than the 120. And so again, we are hoping that, we're looking at just offering one additional pathway to CPA. This is not intended to replace, master's level programs or other ways that, candidates can get there, but just one additional pathway, cost effective primarily.
Yeah. Right. In the pilot program, how many students and how many schools are you expecting to participate in the pilot?
I'm not sure how many participants we'll have. We'll have one school, though, just one university in the pilot. And, because again, we want to see how this works. And obviously, as many firms, however, as want to participate, can hire their employee into this program and then participate. So again, how many that works out to be, we don't know. I don't expect it to be a huge number, but that's just me. We really do not know until we are off and running with this.
Right. Like you said, it's a pilot, so there's still a lot to be learned. There's a different kind of pilot program occurring here in New Jersey with St. Peter's University and PwC. They're wrapping up or have wrapped up the first year of this pilot program called Work for Credit. It also has the goal of helping aspiring CPAs reach the 150 credits. I asked you this question at a program both of us attended, I think a couple of months ago, and you answered it for me. So I thought it would be appropriate to ask it again. What are the similarities and the differences between the ELE program and that Work for Credit program that St. Peter's and PwC are doing?
Right. So I'm going to base this on just my understanding, but our understanding is that the PwC St. Peter's pilot is that students receive 30 credit hours for their work during that first year, subject essentially to their supervisor attesting that they have met certain learning objectives. The LE is different in that students in the LE will take true academic courses in areas that are relevant to their careers in accounting. Again, while working a flexible schedule that will allow them time to complete this academic coursework. So, I think the difference is, getting credit for work experience versus getting, academic credit for an academic course.
Okay. And I'm also happy to report that we've been contacted by another firm in New Jersey that is looking to establish a Work for Credit program with another school. So we're hoping that, some combination of both of these, of ELE and the Work for Credit, will help more students in New Jersey get to that 150 credit number.
Absolutely.
One element of the acceleration plan is about extending the 18-month exam window. It looks like we've seen significant movement on that issue recently, even here in New Jersey. Can you update our audience on NASBA's latest move on the exam window?
Yeah, absolutely. So on, I think it was April 21st, the NASBA Board of Directors voted to adopt an amendment to the UAA Model Rule 5.7, if you're interested. And essentially what that amendment does is it increases the length of conditional credit for candidates setting for the exam from 18 months to 30 months. And the good news is that they also base the calculation of that conditional credit for exam sections passed on the date the scores are released. Now, historically, it had been on the date they took the exam. So by the time they got their score, part of that 18 months was already gone.
Right.
And so now the 30-month window doesn't start until they get their score on that first passed section of the exam. They did provide in their recommendation and in their vote some language that can provide greater clarity when the state boards of accountancy can extend that conditional credit. So we're delighted to hear that New Jersey has already, taken care of this and taken care of the candidates, I should say, in New Jersey. So that's wonderful news.
Yeah. Yeah, I think anything the profession can do to sort of make the process of completing or even registering for the exam easier for candidates is going to go a long way towards bringing more people into the profession, because obviously the exam is always going to change. The exam is always going to be a challenge because it needs to be. But I think if we can make the process easier, I think it'll be a lot easier to bring in more and more candidates. So yeah, I think the changes with the exam window and some of the other changes that are being made are going to help quite a bit. Now, you mentioned earlier on, you talked about the efforts to rev up high school and college efforts. Now, a lot of our viewers and listeners may not know that the Center for Audit Quality has an Accounting Plus program, which is targeting particularly minority students in middle schools and high schools who may not even know much about accounting. Could you talk a little bit about what the AICPA hopes to accomplish with high school and college students, and maybe touch on the CAQ's Accounting Plus program?
I don't know how much time we have, but I could talk about this for a long time.
Take as much time as you need.
So yeah, we love the CAQ's Accounting Plus program, and we have really done a lot to try to get the word out to as many educators and others that and using our own channel at AICPA through our student membership to, again, try to have, we have a lot of college students that go and talk to high schoolers, and we say, please share with them, about this Accounting Plus site. While it was aimed, and the creation of it was primarily aimed at that diverse student population, it's definitely something that would be, I think, attractive to any high school student. So, but we also at AICPA have a lot of initiatives that we're doing. So we work with state societies quite a lot, including New Jersey, and we have a website that has so much information for high school and college students. We have a TikTok channel now, as does CAQ's Accounting Plus, and we've just had a tremendous response to that, a large number of subscribers. So, other things that we do is we work with colleges and universities to help keep faculty up to date on the latest trends in the profession. I think I mentioned, encourage them to put as much technology, data analytics as they can in their courses. We meet individually with faculty and department heads that call on us to help, give them the information that we have from the profession to help them revise their curricula. We have a free searchable database of over 400 resources for teaching relevant subject matter. We send out a monthly newsletter to high school, community college, and university faculty that has timely information. We curate articles, we write articles, we post information. We hold at least one a month and sometimes twice a month free faculty hour webinars where we again provide useful information on teaching current and emerging topics and let them know what's happening within the profession. And we offer free CPE to boot, so I have to get that little plug in. We encourage CPAs to visit schools in the K through 12 space to share about their careers, and we know that New Jersey participated in our Accounting Opportunities Week, and we were very successful in reaching a lot of high school kids with CPAs in the classroom. Again, I know I could go on and on and on. We don't have all day, but I'm always happy to share, what we're doing to support academia and students.
No, that's great. And I'll just mention for our viewers and listeners in New Jersey, to follow up on what you were talking about with Accounting Opportunities Week, or here in New Jersey, we called it CPA Week. Mm-hmm. We sent about 100 of our members into about 100 high schools across the state. Saw about 2,500 students. We've done programs in the past that actually were even larger than that, but of course, after the pandemic, it's been a little slower to get up to speed. But anybody watching or listening who wants to participate in that high school program, please just let us know. You can reach out to me, you can reach out to the State Society, and you can let us know. Because I think it's great that other states and the AICPA, we're all coordinating all of this. I think that's tremendous. And if you just want to kind of be an observer of what's happening, the Accounting Plus program that CAQ is doing, if you go to Instagram or TikTok and look up Accounting Plus, you can follow them. You can see all their posts. I think what's great is they tell a lot of stories, and that's something that we've been harping on a lot here in New Jersey when we speak to members and partners and managing partners. Is we say, tell your story. Don't focus on the process of getting from point A to Z. Like, tell people about all the great things that you do. Talk about all of the businesses and individuals that you've helped. But I think even that is a bit of a process, because I think CPAs aren't necessarily used to talking about themselves in that way, and they got to get a little bit better at it. They almost got to think like Hollywood screenwriters or something, and think about like what would have a real impact on a 16 or a 17-year-old.
100% agree. That's it's funny. It's almost like you're taking the words right out of my mouth, because that's one of the things that I have just shared over and over again is that when you're talking to people about being a CPA, we need to be much more positive about it, and stop sharing our horror stories. They're fun amongst ourselves, but out in the public, we need to change our narrative. Talk about why you have enjoyed this career and what it has given to you. I mean, I love being a CPA. feel like I am an advocate for the profession and certainly encourage others to do the same. So, and the Accounting Opportunities Week, as we call it, CPA Week, is, it's referred to in New Jersey, such an opportunity for CPAs to get in front of these kids. But if you're not comfortable with that, we also, these TikTok videos that we make, that CAQ makes, we need people to share those stories on there. So if someone in your audience is interested, please send them our way. We'd love to highlight some of the fun things that CPAs are doing.
The 12-point plan, I think, covers so many bases. And I think a lot of, when you look at it, it can be overwhelming, like, wow, this is all we need to do. But I think the AICPA has also provided information about roles that different entities or different people can play. So the AICPA sees a role for itself, for state CPA societies, for firms, for colleges and universities, for educators. But if you're, as an individual CPA, who might be watching this, what can they do as an individual CPA to address the forces deterring students from pursuing a CPA career? We've touched on it a little bit, but maybe you could talk a little bit more about that.
I think getting involved is probably the best way. So, contact your state society office. I think you had mentioned that. Tell them you want to volunteer, in a school. Let them know. I think New Jersey actually has a form where they can complete the form online. Correct. And just, let people know that you're available to do that. To just, find any opportunity that you can to participate in the advocacy for our profession. And whether that's when you're at maybe a party or you're hanging out with your kids and their friends, that you can bring up, wow, this really cool thing happened, at work. That I make sure it is a cool something that happened, and share that story. So, I really just think being involved at the state society level was always a huge factor for me when I was practicing CPA, and even throughout my years as an academic, being able to go and talk to kids in those high schools. And I still get to do that because I participate in our Accounting Opportunities Week as well. I live in Texas, so I'm a member of the Texas Society, and I have participated through them in the giving me the opportunity to go and talk to the students in these high schools. I think that's probably one of the best things that we can do. But also, in terms of some of the other things I talked about, like the STEM legislation and things, find out who your representative is, who's your senator. Contact their offices and say, hey, we know that this K through 12 legislation was introduced in the last session of Congress, that it is, kind of under right now trying to get it reintroduced, and encourage them to support that legislation. I think there are so many things that we can do, and that's just a couple of them.
Yeah, and I'll end with this. I did a presentation with a number of our staff, but also a CPA, a member of our organization. I think it was late fall, early winter. It was a university, and we spoke to a number of non-traditional college students, and they were probably in their mid-20s, late 20s, and we were talking about the experiences of this member, and he relayed a story about a small business that he and his firm, worked for a small firm, a small business they worked with during the pandemic. And essentially they saved them because they led them through all the different things they needed to do in order to stay in business. And he actually started to get choked up. And like stories like that, to me, just go so much further than talking about all the kind of mechanics of, well, this is the type of work you will do, and this is the salary you can expect, and so forth and so on. Like just a personal story like that obviously touched him, I think probably just really touched the people in the audience as well.
I love that story. Absolutely. Could not agree more.
Yeah, right. Well, Jan, thank you so much for taking the time to be with us today. We really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you for having me on. I'm always happy to talk about the exciting things happening in our profession and how we can work together to help build the pipeline.
Great. Thank you. Thank you all for listening and watching. For more information about efforts around the CPA pipeline and to access the AICPA's Pipeline Acceleration Plan, see the links in the show notes or visit njcpa.org/pipeline.